Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And you guys know I've been podcasting for a long time, but if I had to classify my podcast, it's an enjoyable hobby. But did you know you can make money with your podcast? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And to do that, to learn more about that, I've invited Darren Saul to join me. He's a serial podcaster, strategist, trainer, coach, keynote speaker, and student of human attention. He started using podcasting to build his photography business and was so amazed by the results, he never looked back. And now he's a podcast junkie who consults with organizations to help them get serious business, integrating podcasting into their marketing strategy. A podcast is not just a nice to have anymore, it's a must. And that's really what we're going to dive into. Darren, welcome to the show.
Lorraine, first of all, I want to say what an incredible introduction. I love how you wove that beautifully together and with
Thank
such
you.
energy, so well executed. And I love your podcast. So I'm very happy to be here and I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
Me too. And of course, many of the people in the audience won't get to hear the other conversation we had about photography before the show, but I'm going to tell you that Darren is as knowledgeable about photography as he is about podcasting. You're going to have to learn more about him. But for now, I want to pick your brain on making money. Let's
So
talk about transforming my podcast into a revenue generating machine. Where do I
beautiful.
start?
Good one. Now, I've got loads of tips for everybody, but I want to make sure that that's not going to overload them because I know that your show is usually like 1 to 2 tips, but I can go for 15. So, what would you rather me do today?
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you do one or two and I may have some questions and we'll
Sure.
just keep working through the list. And then maybe if there's a link, we can offer that to the audience
You bet.
after the show.
You bet. All right, easy. So to break it down, first I'll kind of take a step back and say podcasting is an incredible marketing strategy. It's an incredible process, and a lot of people are definitely jumping on the bandwagon with podcasting. You've been
Hmm.
podcasting for quite some time. I've been podcasting for quite some time. There's new podcasts popping up all the time. And I feel
Yes.
like now it's the time when the conversation is right to start talking about monetization of podcasting and not just podcasting for podcasting's sake. Because I think everybody's ready now. They've done their work and they're saying, all right, great. Now what? I'm going to make some money. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, I had the luxury. I could always say that my podcast was part of my marketing for my agency, but then I sold the agency and I kept the podcast.
there you go.
So I love it, but I'd like to make some money. So
Yeah, absolutely.
what do I do?
So first and foremost, just to like recap it from the beginning, apart from any of these strategies, your podcast is still going to be an incredible way to build trust, credibility for whatever it is that you do, and you'll draw people and attract people to whatever it is that you do normally. But let's take that
Mhm.
off the table. And if people want to directly monetize your podcast in whichever form it is, and the beautiful thing is, this can work in any phase of your podcast. You don't have to have 600 episodes under your belt. You can do it right from the beginning. You just need to be a bit creative in how you frame things and how you position things and how you execute things. And you can use this from the bat. So, first of all, that kind of leads me into sponsorship and ads. A lot of people think, I've got to have so many thousand episodes before people even dare advertise or bother advertising on my show. From an ad point of view, that could be true. But from a sponsorship point of view, that's different. You could actually go to anybody that you think would be in line with what you do and say, you know what, why don't we collaborate? Why don't we do something together and I'm putting out this podcast. I'd like you to be a part of it. You tell me what you can add and what you can give, where you can give value, and let's co-promote it and sponsor it right from the get-go. So you can even do that before you launch your podcast. So
Wow.
that's one thing to think about. People don't realize that there's people want to go on that journey with you. It's not just about
Especially,
ad revenue.
and especially, when you talk about sponsoring, there are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of businesses that would love to be involved in a podcast,
You bet.
but they don't have the time, the resources, the skills. Maybe they're not comfortable at chatting in front of a microphone or a camera.
Yep.
And if you're good at that, that is an asset that other people will pay for.
Yep. It's almost like having a silent partner.
Hmm.
It's like if you want to do all that stuff, but you don't have the time or you don't have the energy or the resources or you don't feel comfortable, you have a silent partner or a business partner that's going to do it all for you, but you're going to reap the rewards in the content, in the revenue, in the potential prospects. So it's like a great marriage to
Yes.
partner with a podcaster that's doing all this stuff because they're passionate about it. So it's just another way to think about how to get involved with someone right from the get go. And you don't have to wait till you have 1,000 episodes or, ridiculous success like Joe Rogan for someone to buy your podcast for how many million, $20 million or whatever it is.
Hmm.
So just something to think about.
Okay, so finding a sponsor, finding an organization that perhaps sees value in what you're doing and wants to be a part of it.
Yep.
Okay, that's a great approach.
Yep.
But what if I'm using this podcast and really I want the authority to roll back to my business. So a sponsorship might not be the best fit. What else can I do?
Yep. Well, you can do a lot of work on premium resources or premium content. So this is another great hack or strategy, really. I don't really want to
Mhm.
call it a hack, but it is. So a lot of the time people expect podcast stuff for free. They listen to podcasts. We're in the generation of streaming and everything on demand. No problem, all fine. So a lot of people, what they do is they send their podcast out to video and audio form, and people can access it for free, no problem.
Mhm.
But let's say that you have premium resources that you want to kind of hold back
Mhm.
and then actually provide more value and really extensive information and value, but people have to pay for it. So you can hold that back in like a closed community group or a closed site or a page on your site or
Mhm.
something with a login or however you do it. Patreon, there's so many
Mhm.
different ways to do it. But you're saying to your audience, I'm giving you loads of my information and insight for free. But if you want more, you can buy it.
Absolutely. And so you really need to be thinking about as you're putting your podcast together, what is it that I'm willing to give away? What is it that has that extra value that's closer to my core expertise
Exactly. Yep.
that
Exactly.
somebody wants to pay for?
Yep. And a lot of
Okay.
people, what they say is a lot of people, when they do webinars and when they do a lot of this kind of initial, we call it initial engagement, they talk a lot about the what, but they don't always talk about the how. So you could actually give all the what away, but people might pay you for the how.
Absolutely. I used to say, and I would tell people everything they needed to do to create their own content marketing program. But even if I gave them the how, they still had to do it. And that was the hook to get them to pay me. So,
Exactly.
again, dividing out what you're sharing for free and what you're offering. Okay,
Exactly.
I
And
got
it's
time
almost
for
like
one.
having a, exercise coach, a fitness coach. You know, when you know you're going to be training at a certain time of the day, on a certain time of the week, you will be training. But if you don't have one, you won't. You'll find an excuse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I skipped my workout today.
Exactly.
All right, I got time for one more tip.
All right, fun. Let me think of the good one. Let's talk about general consulting and coaching. I think that's really important.
Mhm.
So, as you're building your podcast, you're building your branding, your credibility, you're starting to position yourself as an authority, as a leader in your field. And the more successfully you do that, and the better you come across, and the more articulate your story is, people start to really think, wow, this person is the authority in this area. So I want to invite them to coach me, to do workshops, to do keynote speeches, to put courses together, to consult with my business. And all that stuff can come off the back of your podcast, positioning you as a leader in your field. Because if you're going to be up against someone else who does the same thing, but that person doesn't have a podcast and you do, who's going to be the most valuable asset there? The person who has the podcast. Simple as that.
Yeah, because that kind of pre-sells you. It gives them a little taste of who you
Yep.
are.
I love that pre-sell, pre-selling. That's so powerful.
It's definitely is. Darren, this is fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing these great tips with us.
My pleasure. And if you want more, I'm always happy to come on and share some more.
Well, we might have to have you back again, but in the meantime, if you've enjoyed Darren's comments, if you're intrigued and you want to learn more, his company website is suspendanimation.com.au. There'll be a link to that in the show notes, as well as a landing page with all of his social links. And yeah, Darren, we'll have you back in a few months to learn a few more tips.
You
Thanks
bet.
again.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Lorraine.
I've really enjoyed it. And if you've enjoyed this conversation and you want to find other resources for your business, look for MTFW wherever you listen to podcasts. Listen to two, they're short. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.